In the non-dual spiritual world, you have an awful lot of literature about enlightenment. Most of it vague, romantic, mystical, inspirational, and often hyperbolic statements about what enlightenment is. Vedanta says that we're awareness, and it provides a simple, practical method to understand ourselves as such. For as long as I've been teaching, I've been working hard to make it easy for people to understand. It's a hard job because the waters of the modern spiritual world are very muddy. Every supposedly enlightened Tom, Dick, and Harry has weighed in with his or her opinion based upon his or her experience. And well, the result is that anyone interested in enlightenment, in freedom, usually ends up hopelessly confused. I recently received a lovely email from one of my Vedanta friends, Christian Libby, that I think is a really great teaching because it's so simple and direct. It's called The Most Obvious Thing. Please follow this train of thought with a totally open mind. In the end, you'll know what the intention is, but for now, it's better not to know. What I'm saying should be totally obvious. I'm not trying to trick you or show you something you don't already know. So if you think, so what, while you read this, that's perfect. There's nothing hidden or elusive here. What is the most familiar experience to you? Shouldn't that be easy to answer? I know it's a rather vague question, but still, doesn't it seem like you should easily know what it is? Think about it for a minute before reading on. The answer is so obvious that most people don't get it. When you experience something all of the time and it never changes, it's hard to notice, like gravity. Gravity is pushing strongly on your body all of the time. It's always there, but you never notice it, because it's always there. What's interesting about your most familiar experience is that it is also a constant, like gravity. But you can know it. Although it never, ever changes, you can be aware of it. So, what is it? The most familiar experience to you is that you exist. Every single thing you experience and know happens within the context of your existence. This is super obvious, right? But it doesn't come to mind because it's in the background. And we don't know about it because, well, because it's always there. While you're thinking about the fact that you exist right now, you immediately feel or sense or experience or know your existence in some way, don't you? How do you know you exist? Well, you just know it. It's not because you see it or hear it or feel it or taste it or think it or touch it or anything like that. That you exist is the most important fact about you and the most important knowledge that you can have. It is obvious, fundamental, and ongoing. And you know it simply because you know it. No other source of information is required. Nothing new here. I'm just pointing out what you already know all of the time. The next fact you need to know is that existence is also awareness. Those two words, existence and awareness, mean exactly the same thing. The most familiar experience to you is that you are aware. Existence, awareness, has to be there or you don't experience and know anything. Or you could say that existence or awareness has to be there or you aren't there. Obvious, isn't it? Some people in the spiritual world, most in fact, seem to think that awareness is something special, something incredible, something somewhere else, something to be discovered or realized or experienced in some mystical way. I am pointing out just how completely normal and obvious awareness is to you. It is one thing to understand that your existence is awareness, but it is another to know what it means to be what you are. This will take a bit more time if you want to do it on your own, but if you listen to what I have to say, it will not take very long at all. What it means is that you are always full, whole, and complete. This is what we mean by bliss. It means that you're always satisfied with yourself. You will, of course, argue with me on this topic because your experience does not warrant that conclusion. Sometimes you feel positively dissatisfied. Before you stop listening to what I'm saying, consider this. Why are you not satisfied with dissatisfaction? The answer is because you are not focused on your existence awareness yourself. You don't feel satisfied because you just got what you want or avoided what you didn't want. You feel satisfied because you are at one with you. Now, for the bad news. There is something that obstructs your appreciation of yourself, your fears and desires. We call them unhelpful vasanas. If you can lay them to rest, you can be satisfied all the time. There are several solutions to this problem, karma yoga, for example. But the quickest one, if you're qualified, is self-inquiry. Apply the truth about yourself, the knowledge that I'm whole and complete, ever-existent, actionless awareness, whenever a gratuitous fear or desire arises, and you will eventually knock them out. Every time you do it, you'll feel very satisfied because you're standing as you are, standing as existence awareness, not as your silly desires and fears want you to think you are. A small, inadequate, incomplete little wimp. It's like being in school and being told by the teacher to erase the chalkboard of your past. When you apply self-inquiry to your mind, you're erasing the old, uncomfortable stuff. Take a few swipes with the eraser and you'll see an immediate difference, which is a wonderful thing with Vedanta. However, some of that chalk has been there for a long time and needs many wipes and a bit of elbow grease. If you doubt that the eraser will work, it won't work because you're not using it. Use it consistently and absolutely for sure it will eventually work. That's self-inquiry. Another terribly important point about enlightenment is to know that the idea that when you realize yourself, you will discover something new or unique is a complete lie. You will not discover or experience anything new. You will not fix your karma. If you're constantly looking for something new, a special kind of experience, for example, then you're just feeding yourself ignorance. In fact, when you realize the self, what happens is that you see that the most obvious and most familiar experience to you, your existence awareness, is what you've been looking for. That's why it's not a big deal, and it's not an experience. Our thoughts, feelings, and body are obvious to us. We all have them, and we all know that they are separate from us. Our existence awareness is super obvious to us now, but nobody ever told us that existence awareness is different from them. So we assume that our obvious sense of existence awareness comes from the body. It doesn't. There's your body, your thoughts, your feelings, your ego, and then standing quite apart, your existence awareness. Although they are one, because reality is non-dual, your body, thoughts, feelings, and egos are different from you, existence awareness. They are objects, like trees and mountains. You, existence awareness, are what witnesses them. Awareness, the witness, is what you actually are. Knowing this won't necessarily enlighten you, but it certainly could. But it's very important because it will keep your mind from getting all magical and spiritual about this mysterious awareness that everyone in the non-dual world is nattering on about. Even if you don't fully grasp it, be confident that the awareness you're thinking about is nothing more than that which is the most familiar experience to you, your existence. It's really that simple.